peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers, good morning. This morning I want to address the issue of Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. The legacy of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya keeps on moving, keeps on going forward and forward. Since the handshake in 2018 that brought about the peace, the tranquility, the unity of purpose, President Uhuru's star has been rising. All over Africa, people are thinking of using the model that Kenya used to stop any form of violence, chaos on the streets after elections. As you know, all of you are aware that elections in Africa produce two things: after or before or after the voting. Disputed elections, winner takes it all, loser doesn't accept the results. But the Kenyan model takes us miles and miles away from the normal type of democracy. The democracy, a negotiated format, a consensus format. A democracy that gives consensus a chance. A democracy that talks about the future of a country, the unity of a country, as opposed to a fragmented country, polarized country, where most African countries find themselves in. We have seen in the last 10 years or so, most of the elections in Africa have been contested by the opposition. Very few people in Africa, countries in Africa, where opposition has conceded defeat and come up to congratulate the winner. We have seen the South African model has worked very well. The Ghanaian model has worked so well. I don't see any other country in Africa where the models have worked well. I thought it would be Sierra Leone, but today we see Sierra Leone going back to the same ethnic tensions, as you can see from the reports that are circulating in the international media and the local media. So elections in Africa are contentious issues. They create a contentious position, create a departing point for the people of Africa, of that particular nation. The legacy of Uhuru Kenyatta, therefore, will be remembered for having brought the tranquility that we have today, the peace, the new format, the new tool of having a better organized civil Africa, an Africa without violence, an Africa without chaos after elections, when the opposition accepts to work for the interests of a nation, not personal interests. This has worked in Kenya, and thank you very much, Your Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for the tenacity and the steadfastness that you have guided this handshake up to today. For those who want to mutilate the handshake, belittle the handshake. One lesson they should learn is to look at Libya. Libya was once a territory we all respected. It is no more. Let's keep the handshake and the legacy of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Thank you.
First of all, let me thank you. I've prepared 2 papers which I believe will be circulated because they'll not be projected. But if you can see, first of all, I want to agree with the Honorable Minister. I've done 2 pictorials. One of them is described as Africa at the dinner table. And if you look at Africa at the dinner table, Africa is on a plate and it is meat. And the diners at the dinner table are France, the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, the Chinese, and progressively the Arabs. And my second picture is the African hotspots. It's not visible from there. But if you look at Africa today and you make a clean sweep with your mind, there are different conflicts of different intensity in Somalia, in northern Mauritania, in northern Mali, in Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Guinea-Bissau, in the Cameroons, in South Sudan, and one can go on and on. And there is a sense in which Africa has always been alive to the question of interference. I will refer this audience, particularly those who are starting, to take time and read the 32 odd speeches that were made in the month of May 1963 by the then heads of states and government of independent African states, the 32 of them. And there are 2 speeches that I want to isolate for this presentation. One was by David Dacko of Central African Republic. And in thanking Emperor Haile Selassie and Kwame Nkrumah on that day, he said that we must never forget that the colonial power has not left us. We must recognize that he did not go willingly. And if we don't check them, they'll come back again. And what would little Central African Republic do against them? Today, he is right. Today, if we remember the activities of France and how they have propped up the regime of Jean Bedel Bokassa, he was right. Today, as the Honorable Minister has indicated, Africa remains the only continent in the world that is referred to in these terms, Anglophone, to mean that we are a sphere of our erstwhile colonizers. About 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting of the Commonwealth in London, England. And a friend of mine who is an Anglophile sent me the photograph very gleefully, saying this is a meeting of 53 equal states. I told him, no. If it was so, why is it that the leadership of the Commonwealth is hereditary rather than rotational? In other words, in the minds of the British, her former colonies are still under her tutelage. And I want to submit to us that in the minds of what I'll call the conceptual West, they think they have a divine duty to instruct Africans what to do. True. And in the minds of many African leaders, they think that they have a divine duty to accept what they are told. That, in my view, is what the Honorable Minister was talking about, the mindset. And this is something that has been examined. We have seen France, and it's very pernicious presence in Africa. We know what they did in Burkina Faso against Thomas Sankara. We know what they did in Mali or the Sudan against Modibo Keita or against Sekou Touré in Guinea. Pernicious to the core. The Portuguese, we know what battles had to be fought in that area. And let me put this very bluntly. When the former leader of Portugal, Marcelo Caetano, was asked, why can you not allow the colonies to gain independence? This is what he said in substance. As I have examined world history over the years, the following have emerged: that the Caucasians have been responsible for monumental discoveries in the development of man. So have the Chinese, so have the Arabs. But the Africans have been responsible for nothing. They are only fit as hewers of wood and drawers of water. And I want to submit to you who are present here that in the conceptual West's unguarded moments, or guarded moments, that is what they think. And that is how they relate to Africa. So the whole idea that they will interfere is something that they think is their God-given duty. I said there were two speeches in 1963 that I wanted to refer to. I referred to David Dako. The second one was the speech by Kwame Nkrumah. And Kwame provided the solution. He did not complain about colonialism. He said, we must live here with one army, with one command. We must live here with one currency. We must live here with one currency, one country. I do not know where its capital will be, but I suggest Leopoldville or Bangui. Other leaders may have their thoughts. Kwame was right, but who listened to him? Several years down the line, and I've said it in my paper, there were coups d'etats which were engineered, there were mutinies which were engineered, and other forms of destabilization. And I want to believe that the person who actually said it very well in the 1980s was the former American President Ronald Reagan. He said, the United States of America does what is in her best interest. And I agree with him. Does Africa do what is in her best interest? Do African leaders do what is in the best interest of Africa? Interference will be there in very blatant and brazen ways and in subtle ways. I've always asked, until very recently, how many African countries manufactured bullets? Very few. Until very recently, how many African countries, in fact, how many African countries manufacture jet fighters? How many African countries are involved in the arms industry? Some of the leading conceptual West countries which pontificate to us about prizes, peace prizes, are the leading manufacturers of landmines. And if you look at their foreign exchange earners, it is the military and security items. So they say with their mouths, what do they not believe in their hearts? In Kiswahili we say, vita vya panzi furaha ya kunguru. That when the locusts are fighting, it is the joy of the hawk. Because when they kill each other, they get the food easily, dead. It is in the best interest, I dare submit, without fear of contradiction, that the elite in the conceptual West does not want Africa to stabilize, despite their assertion to the contrary. And you'll see it in every country because conflict is a major industry. Today, you look at South Sudan and the many peace conferences that are being held, but if you ask who supplies the arms, who provides safe havens, it is the conceptual West. And when I use the term conceptual West, I'm saying that it extends to countries which are geographically not in the West, like Australia or Canada. So I'm submitting in answer to your question, Joe, that interference is there, and it is part, to use this old cliche, of the neo-colonial project. The neo-colonial project requires that Africa must remain within the sphere of influence of these states. Today, if you look at the United Kingdom, which has left Europe, one would have thought that those are their cousins and that they should sit in comfort with them. You will now see their involvement being de-emphasized in Europe and their interest and appetite growing towards the Commonwealth. Because in the Commonwealth, they are the major domos. They'll tell us what to do. In Europe, they have to grapple with the Germans and the French, and they don't like it. That is the unspoken bit of it. The French also are in Europe, but the Germans are too strong, and they don't like it. So they want to hold Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon, and tell them what to do. I do not know how many of you saw the press conference that was attended by President Macron of France and Nana Addo of Ghana. And when Nana Addo spoke as an African should, you could see the body language of the French president. How dare this man speak this way? In other words, I'm saying that interference is the mother's milk of European economies. But to answer your second question, they have their own recruits who Professor Philip Nying'ura will be speaking here. To use the old vocabulary of those days, they have the people you call their comprador bourgeoisie. You must remember. The comprador bourgeoisie are Africans with black faces, but essentially they are doing the bidding of these powers. They are the ones you'll find them in different spheres. And they will be present. They are in your cabinet, but they are actually representatives of the foreign intelligence agencies of those countries. We know this. If you look at the declassified papers from the United States, we now know that some of leading cabinet ministers in many African countries were working for the CIA or some Western agencies. So you are sitting in cabinet, and in these days of the mobile phone, they are possibly texting their masters in Europe and America. So interference is also exacerbated by these comprador bourgeois for their own benefits. And it has never changed, Honorable Minister. In the early days of slavery, they gave some of the chiefs mirrors and alcohol. Today, what they give them are flats in Paris or in Dubai. And that is what makes them undermine Africa. The third mode of interference is through institutions. Look at the competition as it is now. There is a new entrant into the market that is called China. China is very subtle. Many people wrote the obituary of Rwanda in 1994. 20 years down the line, it has been demonstrated that Africans can actually do it. Between 1983 and 1987, I think Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso also demonstrated that it can be done. We saw in Somalia, despite their problem. So my prescription is African unity. Africa must now begin to negotiate initially in terms of blocks, SADC, ECOWAS, East African Community, and ultimately as African Union. And lo and behold, we must do it. And I've always said this cliche. We must do it, because if we don't do it, we will be done. Thank you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi. Thank you very much. On everywhere in Africa, we seem to have forgotten that we have been cutting down trees. It's changing. The climate is changing. So this is Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi. With me in the studio today, this afternoon, is none other than Miriam Ogut. Miriam, thank you very much.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes, I'm dressed in the way. You can see that.
You're very sharp.
Thank you very much again.
Yes.
And you look very sharp in my colors that Bob Wine stole from us.
We have to bring it back here, so I'm representing.
Are you representing? Those who are...
UPD, what is it called? UPD?
UPC. Uganda People's Congress.
Yes.
This color. Bob Wine should return this color. They used to hate us so much. And I don't know what they have found about us, that they like us so much this time. But however, let's move on. Let's move on. This afternoon, we have a conference taking place, ASP, African Caribbean Conference. A conference that brings people from Africa and the Caribbean, ASP. We are here. They have come to trace their origins. But what lessons? I chose this topic today. What lessons has Africa learned from the days of slavery, the slave trade that Sir Wilberforce stopped? I don't know whether people know what year it was, but you can Google and send us. We give you that assignment. The slave trade, Africa suffered quite a lot in slave trade. We are sold despite on the treated badly. Here we are back. Okay, from the past. Afternoon, Miriam. First looks, we're having hang-ups. Is a hang-up, whatever.
I think it's a problem.
Whether I should go on speaking, the production team should tell me.
Yes.
Whether I should go on speaking. Is it hanging up or stable now?
Or our viewers can tell us how are our signals up there? Are you to receive us very well, or you're having problems with the hanging? So maybe you should take a very short break, and then when we come back, we can have our technical team look into that, and then we can start again. But please don't go too far.
Fellow Africans, since 1957, when Ghana gained independence, there has been quite a lot of political, social, economic indicators on the African continent that show that Africa has progressed from pre-independence Africa to post-independence Africa.
Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. From now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
66 years down the road, Africa finds itself with the first country, Ghana, having gained independence. We find ourselves still locked up, controlled, manipulated, instructed, logistically supplied, equipped by foreign powers that dictate our agenda. Africa is endowed with plenty of minerals, resources, good weather. The climate is so favorable for the growth of food enough to sustain us. But we find ourselves in countries where hunger is killing people. Hunger is killing people because most of the people have taken to arms to fight wars, conflicts. Starvation has taken the place of development. In most African countries like Sudan, South Sudan, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Nigeria, in Biafra, and the north of Nigeria, there is Boko Haram. Somalia, in the Horn of East Africa, we have taken to conflict instead of development. Development was the key indicator. When Kwame Nkrumah made the first speech that seek ye African political unity, economic development will come automatically, he was right. The events happening in Libya today vindicates Nkrumah, vindicates Nyerere, Sekou Toure, and Nasser, the founding fathers of our Pan-Africanism. The events happening in Central African Republic, in Congo today, as the war of rebels ranges on between the rebel and the rebels and the government and the rebels, vindicates the founding fathers of this revolution. Our independence, therefore, was only on paper. Our independence, therefore, was only in symbols. Our independence also was in signs. Our independence also was in boundaries. That we received our flags, but we never received full independence as by the word independence. Most of the 3/4 of African countries, French-speaking countries, have their budgets being done in Paris. Is that independence? The Paris government or the French government does its budgets based on how much they will get from African countries. Is that independence? Is this the Africa that you want? Is it the Africa that we must look at? Is it the Africa that we shall leave for the future generation? If the answer to you is yes, then so be it. But if the answer is no, you agree with me that this is not the Africa we want to live for the future generation. Our generations and the future generation need to find a legacy. What is the legacy that Africa and African Union will leave for the future generation? The wars ranging in Libya, in South Sudan, in Khartoum, in Mogadishu, in DRC Congo, in Amazonia, in Cameroon, Boko Haram, Mali, in Mauritania, the uprisings in Algeria, all point to one thing, that yes, we are not yet independent. We are still controlled by external forces. Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. Sorry for the first hiccup that took place because of our satellite picking up our signal. But now the satellite has picked up the signal. I would like to welcome you to this program, the Diplomatic Leaks. This program is a show of Punchline Africa TV, the only television in Africa that talks about Africa, that does things for Africa, defends Africa against international neo-colonial agencies, the only one that speaks out what ails Africa, what kills Africa, why Africa is still the same. Why do Africans in the 21st century look for George Soros to overthrow governments? We are aware of so many opposition leaders who have even got money to print books from George Soros. Musalia would not have got money to print a book against Raila Odinga. But when they went to America, he got the money. And I was telling people here jokingly that things are thick because George Soros enters Africa through, is a branch of the CIA that harasses Africa. The branch of the CIA that killed the rest, Patrice Lumumba and the rest. You know, we've lost so many people in Africa as a result of Africans themselves. What lessons have we learned? What are the lessons Africa has learned? With me in the studio is none other than Miriam Ogutu. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Let me start with a brief. Since the slave trade, or the end of slave trade, by Sir Wilberforce, I grew up knowing that history. Africa has maintained its grip. Africa has changed. But have we learned any lessons that it was we Africans who collected fellow Africans and sold them to whoever was coming, the willing higher buyer, the lower, the willing seller, and the willing buyer? It is sad that today we still look at the West. When I heard President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday talking about Africa, why Africa has not stabilized, why are we not doing trade? Why are we complaining about EU tariffs? Because we are not united. That's one of the aspects that has put Africa out. Today, I will look at security, democracy, unity, conflicts, economy, trade, and any other culture. Have we changed ourselves? Since the coming of religious leaders, the religion in this country, by Dr. Livingstone, Stanley, Kraft, Abadeas, name them, we have not been ourselves. Have we been cast? Who cast us? God created us with a very symbolic nature. We are the only people in the world that stand out to be black, apparently. The rest of other continents, there is yellow, purple, green. We don't know where they are there. There are some areas where you go and you find, if you go to Sri Lanka, for example, you might be able to find the most serious black Sri Lankans. I was shocked in London when I saw them. But what has ailed Africa? What has killed Africa? What has destroyed Africa? What is killing us? Why are we not looking at these aspects of security, democracy, culture, unity, conflicts. This is economy. We can trade easily. What is difficult with Kenya telling Uganda to bring maize and buy it openly without cartels bringing maize? Why? That is what we want to discuss today. And thank you very much. We might be having problems with internet. And our satellite today seem not to be capturing. And those who are not hearing, maybe you'll hear later on, but our satellite is not picking up. Maybe the French have actually, they knew very well we are going to talk about the French, and we seem not to be rhyming. So they own Alcatel, and the internet passes through them, and our satellite is in German, so we don't know what they have done. But are we on?
I think the
production team, can you tell us whether we are on or not? Because we might be talking like mad people.
To our south, yes, I think they will. I think we should be on because they've not said otherwise. But yeah.
So there you are, Miriam. The first topic on agenda is security. The African continent in particular, take it from there.
So the African continent is particularly conflict prone and has hosted more than 1/4 of global violent conflicts in the last years. The abrupt increase in worldwide refugee and migration flows has led to a stronger interest in examining the root causes of these conflicts in Africa. Now, violent conflict has been identified as one of the most significant and immediate triggers for forced migration and displacement. So we've seen in the recent past, Doctor, that African security has been under threat due to what we have in the different African countries. And I don't know, some of the root causes that cause the continent, the insecurities that we are experiencing today. What will be some of these root causes for the insecurities that we are experiencing in the continent today?
Thank you very much, Miriam. The root causes of insecurity is inequality in service delivery, inequality in democracy delivery, inequality in human rights delivery, inequality in marginalization. You marginalize tribes, you marginalize people. Does it occur to you that every African wants to change a constitution? From north to south, most leaders want to change the constitution. Conflicts come because of elections. In every African country where there is an election this year, there's a conflict. There's a conflict working and rocking in every African place. Where there is a conflict, you must find the root causes. One of the root causes, elections. Elections in Africa cause conflicts. And that's why we must look at what do we do? Have we learned from the mistakes of the past? Have we learned from the mistakes? Why is it that every 5 years in Africa, people die instead of people celebrating and continuing like South Africa? In South Africa, we have people killing each other, black people who hate others, who pretend, who are actually being used by George Soros to cause chaos so that there is a collapse of a system in South Africa. I have maintained on this program, and I will still continue to maintain, that any leader in Africa today who has got a revolutionary party, and if that party is either CCM, NRM, ANC, ZANU-PF, FRELIMO, MPLA, SWAPO, mention all this, the one in Zambia, Lungu, mention all this, CCM in Tanzania. All these leaders are now people, our former colonial masters and some agencies from France are targeting, are seriously targeting these revolutionary parties. If you look at what is happening you'll find yourself in a very awkward position. For example, the CIA, the branch of CIA called George Soros branch, what does it do? What does it do? It launders money. It pays opposition groups in Africa. It pays is a well-coordinated opposition strategy. If Bob Wine has not gone to collect money, Malema will collect money. I told you the other time that Mr. Malema is not a Pan-African. I will show you evidence today. Because for me, I talk with evidence. And I told you from where I seated up to the house, the office of George Soros that has just opened in New York. I am told what happens there. If Morgan Changarai, the late, had collects money on behalf of somebody, they used to have a company called Bell Potija. That's an international, well-organized company. PLC, public relations company. It collects money on behalf of all opposition through George Soros, Kofi Annan Foundation, the French intelligence system. They pump in money to go and dismember these African countries. The African countries that Uhuru was crying for yesterday in the International Conference Center, KICC. You are crying there, Your Excellency, but there are people actually paying money to dismember you. This is what is happening in Africa today.
And these external forces has in return even sort of brought the insecurity we see in the different countries we have now, because they come in with their own agendas, fighting sometimes the governments, or they come with their own agendas and trying to run their own agendas in these countries, and so that clashes with whatever it is that is going on in that country, and that undermines the security. Now that you're talking about the security in Africa in general,
it does, and that's what is happening. It is happening today. That's why you see insecurity in Africa will not end. Tell me if anyone watching this program, whether a diplomat or not a diplomat, whether you are in Nairobi or you are wherever you are in Zimbabwe, why should America refuse to proscribe Al-Shabaab? You saw the party that Djibouti held in New York. You saw it. The party that Djibouti put in New York. You can tell the signs from there. I've been telling my friends, and I've been telling Kenyans to be very careful and worry about what could happen. Sincerely speaking, for me, I'm one African. At my age, I've reached a point where I don't tell anybody anything. There are two things that my mother and my father, both Christian Anglican, one is late, one is alive. They told me two things: never to listen to lies and never tell lies. If you have found someone is doing something, and that is maybe why I've survived longer, I tell off. I say, no, you are plotting to overthrow the government. I'm not involved. I'm not. And I walk away. That's why I don't have a scar on my head. People who tell lies are caught. The lies narrow down. Deceit is the most dangerous thing that we Africans have. Okay. America has deceit. The highest rate of deceit lives with America. America knows that Al-Shabaab kills us here every day. Al-Shabaab has left maimed people here in this country. We have people with limbs. We have people who have lost relatives. When the Kenyan government goes to America to seek a proscription order against Al-Shabaab, Al-Shabaab becomes very innocent. Mm-hmm. I told my Kenyan friends, be careful. You might find that Al-Shabaab and America are meeting in Asmara or Doha. The Americans today are meeting Talibans in Doha. And Talibans are killing people in Afghanistan.
They are.
They are even demonizing the president elections of Afghanistan because they have found a new lover who used to kill us. That's why Africa must learn a lesson on the security issue.
And America has sidestepped the government of Afghanistan to go ahead and meet.
Against America, Norway, France have brought a proxy war in this region. Why is Nkurunziza not in this meeting? Proxy war. We tell it as it is. Don't lie to people that we are all right in East Africa. Where are we? We are not all right. There is a war here. There is a proxy war. Some of us have our trucks. Our trailers have been confiscated there in Rwanda. They cannot cross. The tires are rotten. You tell me there is no proxy war here? There is a proxy war. Why should we Ugandans suffer for closure of a border? Why should the Rwandese suffer for a closure of a border? And then you tell these guys, they come, they eat, they go home. They don't want to sit down and open the border. They don't want to open the border. If Matanga arrives in Kigali, I will be considered a spy, either by Museveni,
Totally.
or I will be considered a spy by Kagame. Look at this type of nonsense. And we call ourselves Africans. We sit, we praise ourselves here. If a Rwandese arrives in Kampala, instead of saying instead of saying to this woman, she's very beautiful, you start concocting accusations. She's a spy of Kagame. We arrest. A Ugandan beautiful woman arrives in Kigali. She's a spy of Museveni. Rubbish. This is rubbish. And I'm saying it so that your excellencies, if you are here in Nairobi, hear me.
They are here.
I'm an African. I am a Pan-African. That is me left. Mugabe never was the last man to say the truth. And they left me this badge here. The badge I'm wearing on was a lapo given to me by Mugabe. May his soul rest in peace. And I will not miss my words. Tell me why a Ugandan businessman should be suffering. His trucks are held across the border. They can't move. A Kenyan businessman is suffering. They can't enter. And then we come here, we say we are heads of state, we are insisting to do what? What are you doing? We are creating a proxy war, and a French proxy war. There is a French proxy war here. And if you are not careful, you governments around here, we shall soon fight it.
And Doctor, it will be interesting that we are talking about this today because I think there was a conference that was happening in Kigali over last week and over the weekend. And
a very good conference where some of us were invited. And I could even speak better than some of the delegates there. But you can't go to Kigali. You are suspected to be a spy of one person.
One country.
Or you are a spy of who? Excuse me? Is this what we want in Africa?
And what President Paul Kagame said there really caught my attention. He said it is time that Africa embraced free borders and open borders. So when he's saying this, and he knows very well, and even I talked about it yesterday. You were busy. You were held up somewhere. You did not. We're not present for the Good Morning show, but we talked about it. He's speaking about Africa having free borders. That it is time Africa had free borders, but it is not. He's being hypocritical as we speak right now.
How can Africa have a free border when Somalia is looking for a border?
Is looking to extend.
Yes, a stupid man across here who has been helped. He hasn't even had a toilet built. He has not built a toilet. Ugandan troops are dying here. Kenyan troops are dying here. And a stupid Famijo works with the American radical group, wants a border. Tell me. Tell me. He's an American agent, a satellite agent put on this continent together with the prime minister, that small one, the smaller prime minister of Somalia. These are agents who have sold imaginary oil in the Indian Ocean. Today, you tell me a free border. When America has told them to look for a border in the Indian Ocean, you see, it's good this rain comes and takes all of us. You know the rain is coming slowly. You saw.
I don't want to go.
Let's go.
Not yet.
Because we don't know
Not
why are people looking for borders. How can America or Somalia at this hour look for a border in the Indian Ocean
Interesting.
with Kenya? And they are fighting. Then you call ourselves, we are African, we have celebrated, you liberated where?
We want free borders.
We want free borders. Then Mr. Faramijo, that guy there, what is his name? Faramijo. Farmajo, whatever you call him. He's now, you know what? The Americans have told him, don't proscribe Al-Shabaab. Don't. We are talking to them. I'm telling you, if people in Kenya hear Uganda government, if you are not careful, you'll be shocked that somehow I'm speaking this so that President Museveni can handle it. Pick it from me now, sir. I'm 64 years old now. There's no way, no reverse. We have to talk the truth.
We have to talk the truth.
Why did you know one thing that puzzles me every night? Why did America and Norway and stand up in the Security Council and refuse to proscribe Al-Shabaab? That has killed us in this region. What are they doing behind us that we don't know? Be careful. We might end up our lips dry. Why is Faramijo telling Kenyan troops to get out of Somalia? Be careful. Our lips might be dry. Why is Faramijo bringing in Ethiopian troops? Who is giving him the authority? Be careful. Our lips might be dry. Why is Somalia taking Kenya to ICJ? Our lips might be dry. Because in ICJ, they had a small, tall, rubbish guy called himself a judge. Thanks God, I dismantled him within 3 flights. Go well and resign quickly. Don't extend by 1 hour, because I will come again or play the tape, which will embarrass you and your family forever. Look at this. There are so many things happening in this region. Nkurunziza cannot move out of his house. He can't move to go to the toilet. Literally.
He can.
He says he now sends the wife for the vice president.
So he did not even attend this meeting.
No, he says there is someone plotting a coup.
Yes.
And who is this someone? The French themselves have told Mr. Nkurunziza, we want you to do something for us. You Africans, if I were in the conference yesterday and I was not feeling well, my age is catching up with me, I would tell these guys the truth. Nkurunziza accuses Kagame. Kagame accuses Nkurunziza. Rwandese cannot fly into Entebbe airport. They have been told never to step in Uganda. Rwandese fly to this airport, then they go to Uganda. Surely, East African community meeting cannot take place because some people are not coming.
It was extended to next year.
They
missed the 20th anniversary.
So we shall be celebrating 21 years. next year.
20 plus.
Plus.
And Doctor,
Is this the unity? We need to talk about, has Africa learned from lessons of the past that we are divided? We have continued to divide ourselves and continue to micromanage each other's affairs.
and you brought in Burundi, and yesterday there's a news I read here about the East African Court of Justice exonerating the president of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, and legitimizing his presidency over what happened in 2015, the constitutional coup that happened. He was taken to court. So yesterday is when they were making their ruling, I don't know how many years later, and they said, you know what, we legitimize his presidency. It was okay for him to do what he did. That was the East African Court of Justice.
There we are.
Are we learning from the past?
We haven't learned any lessons. Mm-hmm. And therefore, if people think that I'm wrong, whoever is watching, why should Djibouti, a member of IGAD, a smaller country, which America sponsors with 100,000 US dollars, you know, a local businessman in Nairobi can pay that money to alleviate or Uganda. My country, there are very many rich people apparently. Mm-hmm. Your type of corruption in Kenya is not the type of corruption in our country. Mm-hmm. Our country, corruption is centralized. That's why you see President Museveni fights it on a centralized system. Mm-hmm. It is centralized. It is, look here. The type of corruption in Uganda is a pyramid. You go under, you find the person is there.
Inverted pyramid.
Is there. No, is there. Hey, you look for money, you say it's there. If you want 500 million shillings, it's there. It is also coming in Kenya. If in Kenya now, cartels, if you look for, you want something to work quickly. You want some people to beat up somebody. You want the deputy governor, a speaker, to beat up people in Nyeri. You can find where the money came from.
Oh, they've been fighting there.
Okay. Didn't you see that huge man with a stick in Nyeri beating a smaller boy because of cheap politics of Jubilee Party? Mm-hmm. The money came from somewhere. So what has happened here is all this has brought insecurity. Mm-hmm. But above all this, there is a proxy war in the region. A very serious proxy war that Djibouti goes on its way up to New York to put up such a party. Did you see the Djibouti party? And turn it to the Kenyan party that was in New York. Look at the people who were in the Djibouti party. Then you can come back and say,
we have a problem.
We have a problem, Houston.
Yes, indeed.
So, a smaller country like Djibouti, with 7 naval bases, most of the 5 members of the United Nations Security Council, out of the 5, 4 have naval bases in Djibouti.
And I read somewhere Ethiopia is also looking to have one of
So you telling me, when this security ballot takes place, musiwapatie vitu yetu kukula. In fact, Kenya should, if Djibouti wants, just leave it. They have conspired on Kenya. The bigger nations are telling Kenya that, don't worry, we are with you. But inside at night, they have done Nikolai Machiavelli. Mm-hmm. And you will see the results. Djibouti had the floods. Djibouti did not even seek money from IGAD. It went to borrow $100,000 from America. Surely. And America put a condition that you must get it from UNDP in Djibouti. So the country is tied on the handouts from the United States of America, which causes the problems that we see today. In short, Africa we don't learn from the past. We rely on handouts, on divide and rule politics. We marginalize other people. We fight over elections. If you can see the temperature of elections right now in Tanzania, which was a very soft place, a very good country, democratically changing government without a fight. George Soros has arrived there. Tanzanian people, I can't blame them. You know what they did? The opposition said, we don't want to take part in it. To some extent, and they maintained peace.
They did.
That's very good.
They did.
And I like our place, and I want to take off glasses so that they hear me. And my country, I speak from the bottom of my heart. We have been giving Mr. Besigye a chance for more than 6 times to try to win presidency. He has failed. Most of us were in opposition. He found us in opposition. He put laws that actually made most of us disappear. We have forgiven him for the laws that he put as a political commissioner of NRM. 6 times, Besigye tells people to come to be beaten. 6 times, come, beat, come, beat, come, beat. So I am asking a question. And let me say it as a Ugandan. If this election is not free and fair, Miriam, why do you take part in it? Why don't you do the Tanzanian way? There's no law in Uganda that forces you to vote. No, keep quiet. Why do you go on collecting handouts from George Soros? The second one, this small boy, what is his name?
Bobby Wine.
You people younger ones know him, because I don't like this type of, he's not even my second born. So I don't care. Look, he's a third born or whatever. My children are better. Let me tell you, because I discipline them. This boy here collects money from outside. George Soros gives him money. He flies to South Africa to give Malema to go and give Kasukwere. Have you seen the link? To give Kasukwere in Zimbabwe to fight Mnangagwa. Do we learn lessons? Malema is not a Pan-African. Malema is used by the white supremacists to destabilize ANC. Malema's struggle is with the ANC to kill ANC. But what type of leader will come after the death of ANC is the worst enemy of Africa. You will tell me one day if I'm not around.
And when you started, Doctor, you mentioned that some of the root causes that causes the insecurity we see here in Africa, one of them is the inequality and the marginalization that we see in a lot of parts of Africa. Would that be, of course, this is one of the bases of what has caused even the Biafra war that is causing now Ambazonians to want to secede. So this has in return brought a lot of insecurity in these countries.
Exactly. Look at Buhari. Because some people like malcontents like Fulani Ahmed, when you talk about Somalia, they think you have talked the truth about Somalia. Don't you have terrorists who kill us? You have. Don't tell me to tell you so many words.
Let's just leave him alone.
Let's leave you alone.
Let's continue.
Don't bring those things here. You have terrorists, they are there. Americans are telling us not to make them terrorists. But the Americans are quick to make anyone who takes $1 blacklist our ministers, blacklist our people not to go to America. Yet they have made terrorists. They have not blacklisted terrorists. I am against such agencies. I am. I'm telling you, if one day, if President Museveni just gave me the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, some people will wear suits before they arrive in Tebe Airport. It's radical. No smart, you don't dress up properly and you come to our country. I block you. That's an order. dress up nicely to come. Because some of these boys with jeans come and sit in Kampala, they gather information for George Soros. You will not tell me until you tell me why you are coming. You will not come. Why do you blacklist our people? Why do you blacklist our people? Why do you blacklist the Minister of Security in Zimbabwe? What has he done? He's trying to bring law and order. You American embassy in Zimbabwe hijacks doctors. How can a doctor be hijacked, kidnapped, and the telephone is still on? Can somebody in Africa explain it for me? American embassy in Zimbabwe has become MDC headquarters. That molests Mnangagwa. That destroys Mnangagwa as a foreign policy. We call that what? What is it? This is what is happening here. We are in trouble as Africans. We are in big, big trouble. In Kenya here, they found out they could not use. Kenya was very right to take a handshake. And Kenyatta, God bless you, and Raila Odinga. To be very honest, if Raila Odinga and Kenyatta had not shaken hands, George Soros had reached here. He was here. He was here. And he was very annoyed to see that this handshake took place. Now in its place, they have hijacked another bishop called Mudavadi to go and write books against Raila, to demonize Raila. You might I am one of the few people who used to criticize Raila, yes. And he has never criticized me back because some of the things I tell him is correct. One of the things I said is, you are a leader. Cross over, pick the hand. Take the hand of a younger man. Didn't he do it? Take it. We have been in rebel activities with Raila for a long time. Kenya, where all of us were there. Moi was throwing us in jail here in Nairobi, where? So take a hand, one step. And Raila did it. Is there no peace here? So George Soros was very annoyed. He recruited a new recruit. You are going to see, who could not even print a magazine. Now he has printed a book. Sponsored by who? George Soros. Where can Muruka have money if he cannot buy his own shoes? Tell me where Barack Muruka can have money even to bring one book. It's just malice against Raila. And the time has come for people to speak it up, because it is going to divide Kenya. It is going to mutilate this nation. It's going to bring insecurity. My country depends on this country for every livelihood of importation of goods. Raila's stand with Uhuru Kenyatta was the most successful thing that has shocked Americans. They are not happy. Believe me or not, they are not happy. They have tried. They have tried. Even when this chaos in Jubilee is there, they are now very happy. You see? I wish it came out to be. Does it occur to you that ICC, all of a sudden it starts coming? And before I forget, Miriam, and hand everything to you, look at this, ma'am. Kenyan NGOs go to The Hague in a meeting, which is ending today. Now, instead of debating, they cry Matanga. Oh, this Matanga. Yes, I finished you. You came here, they came to lie to fix Ruto and Uhuru. They wanted to fix. I stood alone, single-handedly. Even some African leaders were very annoyed with me. But this man, this Ugandan, the one they hate, the one they talk about all the time, I said the NGOs are wrong. The witnesses were procured. My Ugandan English is now a word of the monument. They procured the witnesses. People grew academies for witnesses, selling witnesses. People married more women out of the witnesses. They have left them widows now, like Kenny Wafula. May God hold your until we meet. Yeah, you know, I told them all frankly that these cases, people died, but you did not investigate. Me, anybody, let people here in Africa, you touch an African to take him to the ICC, I will fight you. And I hear there is someone in Uganda collecting signatures. Mr. President Museveni, if you are hearing all your people, give me the job. I'll deal with them. First, I'm going to deal with Fatou Bensouda. I'm going to lock Fatou Bensouda. As soon as Fatou Bensouda finishes her term and steps in London Hampstead home, there will be a summons. If she doesn't sort me out, I will sort her out. And I will win. I'm waiting for Fatou Bensouda to where she will go after the ICC is finished. You don't battle with Mazanga on international scene. I studied the same subject in one of the best universities in Canterbury. You don't challenge me on that, on international relations. I will fix Madame Bensouda with her skirts, with her blouses. I will get you. You have molested Africans, but your term of office is getting closer and closer. Prepare for individual suit. Responsibility. You will not go back to Gambia because the Gambian leadership will also want to question you.
She was a minister during Yahya Jammeh's
yes.
Leadership.
But me, I don't want to. I am touching only her. Like I touched Ocampo. Do you know where Ocampo sleeps? Ocampo sleeps in a one-bedroom flat. I fixed him. Money launderer, a gambler. That when he comes here, he was threatening African leaders also to close their offices that they wanted to see Ocampo. My fault. My fault. I finished him. Fatou Bensouda is plotting. Africans should not forget. Have we learned a lesson? We are beginning to fight today. We are beginning to beat up people. We are beginning to allow a 6.1 feet gentleman in Nyeri to beat up a small boy with a big stick like this.
Yes, indeed, and our viewers, thank you so much. George Nwoke, there I see you writing. Kintu Anthony, George Nwoke, you're saying, Biafrans, all right. And Kintu Anthony, you're saying you can't keep law and order when you're killing innocent people in the country, and more so, overstaying power is one of the biggest problems that brings about all the instabilities of the continent of Africa. So that brings us, Doctor, to democracy, and the state of democracy in Africa is one of the most controversial and difficult questions facing the continent today. Is Africa getting more or less democratic from your assessment?
You want me to say the truth?
Tell us.
We are not ready for democracy.
I thought we had democracy.
No. Africa, there is no African country you can rule with democracy except where you show me. Show me. Ghana. Yes.
Cape Verde is doing very well. Mauritius is
yes.
In terms of democratic
South
space,
Africa?
Yes.
Yes. But the rest of the countries, ask them one question. Do they need elections? I am asking today the presidents of Africa, do you need elections in Africa? Or we need to go back to a drawing table? That's my question. Even if, in fact, you ask, is there democracy? There is no, which one? Where is democracy here? We are not yet ready. There are people here talking about democracy. How do you talk about democracy when you don't have a social contract? You don't have a social contract. You talk of democracy. To be given space to speak is different from democratic rights. With democratic rights go with social contract. How many social workers do we have in our villages? How many outreach workers? How many probation officers do we have? How many checks do we give payment, retirement checks to people who have worked for us before? How many checks? Show me one check that goes without asking for a bribe to an old man, 80 years, and you have put it in your box that a check will be coming. Show me. Oye, in Nigeria, are you paid your retirement benefit? Miriam, ask anybody in Kenya, is he receiving his retirement benefit? No. Ask anybody in Kenya, the people who are given bail in court by the High Court, corrupt cartels, where are they? Where are they? Some are even on the seashores of the Persian Gulf, enjoying in Doha.
Somewhere in Seychelles or something.
In Seychelles, they have disappeared. No probation officers in this country. Then you talk of democracy. How can you? Maraga, the Chief Justice
of the Republic of Kenya.
He only comes out to cry when there is no money.
Maybe now he's working after
the
courts of
he was given money. He kept quiet.
He's working.
He's not working.
You want him speaking all the time.
No, he's not working. He's waiting for a motion of impeachment.
Okay.
You didn't know.
That is part of the work.
He's waiting for a motion to arrive there. Maraga will never like Uhuru Kenyatta. Even if you go to Angel Gabriel and ask, hello, Angel, do they like each other? He doesn't. And don't tell the listeners, our viewers, who love this station so much, a lie. It is like telling Buhari that Buhari loves Namdi Khan. Does Buhari love Namdi Khan?
You know Namdi Khan who lost now his father. He lost his mom.
Yes.
He lost his father.
Buhari is slaughtering his own people. Look at Nigeria. Have we got democracy? You talk of what? What did you say? Democracy in Nigeria? Democracy. There is nothing.
I did not say democracy in Nigeria. But how then, Doctor, can we design democracy that better fits the African reality?
You know what? African leaders go to borrow money in China. They come here and eat it, competing over it. Give me 200 million, give me 300 million. Does China have elections?
And Hong Kong is tired. Hong Kong is tired of that, and they want.
Who is doing it?
Some democracy.
Who is doing it in the Congo? Who is buying masks?
US.
Who is buying masks to destabilize China and Hong Kong?
The US, UK.
Thank you.
Have been mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you. I've studied the subject of political science to a level that I can mark even 4 students at a go.
But they want a democracy. Hong Kong.
I can mark the books for master's degree. I can mark you and fail you. Who is giving? No, you tell me. Who is giving masks in Hong Kong? George Soros. He told you on his line that he was buying masks for demonstrators to prevent tear gas. Money. It is written. Now, why doesn't America arrest Mr. George Soros for money laundering? And then it comes to arrest a Ugandan. It comes to make a Ugandan minister or Ugandan man not to travel. It comes to Kenya. It says, Wako, don't ever step here. It goes to Zimbabwe. It says the Minister of State for Security in Zimbabwe. Never, never. It comes soon. We have a problem here. So, we blame ourselves as Africans.
So what we've been experiencing in Africa is not a true democracy, but rather democratic disasters.
It's a semblance. semblance of democracy. Pseudo democracy. There's no democracy in Africa. Pseudo democracy. Some parts Kenya has democracy, yes.
It's a
bit. It is a talking shop democracy. It's called a talking shop democracy. Everybody says, what? I'm going to court tomorrow. That's very good. You know, there is one thing: a white man will be happy with you if you have taken the matter to court. A white man will love you forever.
The legal system.
Yeah, legal system.
Taking it to Maraga.
Yeah, however bad it is, the white people like legal system. Africa needs the types of Kagame.
This one here who was asking for open borders.
Yeah. No, on number one, border is closed. But Africa needs something like that. You know, Kigali today is manufacturing a car. It has manufactured cars and they are driving.
The first mobile phone in Africa.
Yes, a car, a golf car, I saw it. Manufactured on fuel, Kigali. That's very good. The man is tough. You spit on that democracy. Democracy starts with spitting. If you are disciplined, then you can be democratic. But you find some people in the streets of Nairobi spitting openly in front of you. He spits. He doesn't even know that thing is coming in your face. Is it democratic?
That is bad, man.
Democracy begins from good behavior, patriotism.
Social responsibility. You have hit where I was talking. Where? Social contract. You don't have it. Forget it. Forget it. We don't have social behavior. We don't have social contract that can nurture democracy in Africa, Jamen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Elections are in Uganda. In 2021, this is 2019. We have about 20 days to go to reach 2020. Already, I think we can box each other. Have you seen people writing on the notes? I don't know what that is for. It's like an online. The president said, "Stop writing on the money," and people decided this is what we're going to do. We're going to protest. So they're writing on the money and posting it on Twitter. But the government will come from.
Look at that. And then you tell me democracy. Where is it? The democracy is not there. Africa has not reached a level of democratic dispensation where until we have a social contract. Chinese have a social contract. That's why they can lend us money today. 30 years ago, China was the poorest country with one rice scheme in Africa. It was called Kibimba Rice Scheme in Uganda. Chinese porters or prisoners were brought from China by Obote to go and dig rice in Kibimba, one of the biggest rice schemes. I don't know whether President Museveni has renovated it or it has died. 30 years ago. Today, China lends us money. Why? China went back to eat dogs. They eat dogs. They eat their dogs. That's their social culture. They eat noodles and they cut dogs and eat lunch. So when they come to build SGR here, Kenyan workers want also to eat in their restaurant. So the Chinese said, my friend, what is going on with you? Here we have norms. You Kenyans and Africans want to eat on their plate. Weka chakula kwa sahani yangu ikuwe kubwa. Chinese put the food in one round place. Noodle, dog meat. Why this one dog meat? This it rounds. You all put your hands there to put the noodles. We Africans want a heap. Hata bibi yako amekaa kwa function akuone. You have carried the plate, the soup is pouring. No social contract.
Not all of us.
Most of us.
We are not that bad.
Miriam.
I don't do that.
Not you, but I'm telling you.
Some Africans.
Yes.
Some few people
who
don't have home training, because if you train very well from home.
You say you grew up in a home where there was discipline.
Yes.
Where your dad is a disciplinarian. He can tell you lie down. A big girl like you now. Mm-hmm. If you go to the house in Siaya and you make a mistake, your dad will tell you to lie. Look at me, and I want to tell you here on this TV, none of my children can just answer me anyhow. Even the 39th year old firstborn, Miriam, who is married, if she comes to my place, there must be discipline.
Respect.
She makes a mistake, I tell her, Mom, you have your house. This is my house. Mm-hmm. So what you do, have you eaten? Yes. Do you have transport? Yes. If there's no transport, nowadays there is cab.
The Zuba, yes.
The Zuba. London, there are so many things. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye, we meet. We see each other next Christmas. Umesikia? So discipline is not there in Africa. Democracy can never be there. Democracy begins with a social contract. Mm-hmm. If you have a social contract, you will nurture democracy.
True.
The social contract amongst Africans has collapsed. You a singer, you sing music. You think you can sing and the Ugandans vote you. How many of them like music? How many of them like reggae music? Go and ask Ugandans. And then you say, you can't even write a policy paper. And we have all educated, serious Ugandans, like Matanga with, I am graduating next in February, I told you. Mm-hmm. Be my guest on 17th February.
My passport is up to date, don't
Yes, mm-hmm. With another master's degree in project management. The fourth one. Now you come with your music, you want to lead me. Let me be wherever I am. Proud guy. I rather die with my pride than to be led by reggae music.
Reggae music?
A musician, yes.
Nobody can stop reggae.
Yes, because he's singing guitar very well.
Nobody can stop reggae.
No. Me, I tell this younger man, grow up. Look at the other one in Zimbabwe. There is one in Zimbabwe called Chamisa. He can't even pronounce his own name. If you give him to speak in international audience, you think he's just speaking. You know, have you seen the voice I'm using? It's like a Nyerere. My voice is Nyerere. Nyerere never used to have. If you can see Nyerere's voice, it tells you off. Me, I tell these Africans off. Don't come to me in Nairobi and tell me a stupid story. Oh, we are trying to organize opposition. Which opposition? Which opposition? Which opposition are you organizing? When you are the one who made us to have a problem. Sort it out. Usikuje kwangu. Umesikia Miriam? Usikuje kwangu na kuliletea mimi shida. Sitaki shida yako. Which opposition are you organizing? To organize what? You are going to borrow Americans' dollar. Put dollar here. We are trying to do. Which political party in Uganda today has money to run an election? Which one? Apart from NRM. I always tell the truth. And the people hate me for the truth. NRM will win by 12 minutes. Why? What the Supreme Court said in 2016 has not been done. Then why do you go to election? Unaenda huko kufanya nini? Tell me.
And Paul Riekia seems to be agreeing with what you said earlier. He's saying, Dr. David, it's great to lecture and tell us how China now became the world leading economy, while 30 years ago the country was very poor. And he's saying also, don't forget that China is now controlling African continent through economy by lending to our corrupted leaders. China imperialism is coming. So that brings us to our third point here, that is economy.
Yes, no, but before that, don't forget Peter Meyer said, I've left him alone.
Peter Meyer.
I was there before.
Good afternoon.
I was not a failure. I brought peace in northern Uganda. There will be no gun anymore. You enjoy the peace. That's it.
Enjoy the peace and music.
And the music.
From Bobby
Let him, enjoy the peace and the music. Otherwise, would you play it?
But they should allow him to play. They've banned him from...
I am not an administrator of the Uganda government.
Yeah.
All those questions can be directed to His Excellency, the President of Republic of Uganda and the Ambassador.
Yes, indeed.
When you see me here, you see me as an individual.
A Pan-African.
A Pan-African man. I'm talking about all African countries. I'm talking about South Sudan. I'm coming next. You cannot get democracy in Africa when you have people like Riek Machar.
No, South Sudan now wants a referendum.
Referendum with what? With saliva.
On the boundaries.
With saliva.
No,
who is going to vote?
Exactly, Doctor. Well, we're having over 2 million South Sudanese in...
Can I tell you? Can I tell you? I told you. I told you, and let me tell the leaders, some of them, I tagged them to listen to my speech, especially the president of Uganda. I told him, I have tagged him on Twitter. If his people are here to listen. You know what? 2020, by March, there will be a United Nations tribunal trying Mr. Salva Kiir, Riek Machar, and the several commanders. If they don't, even if they do, I think this country in Europe has decided to take the motion further. So I am still here as a living ceremony, a memory. Ask me when it comes. There will be no peace. These guys don't want peace. They don't like it at all. You carry a referendum over what? Who is going to vote?
Do they even have money? Because they've lacked money to fund the peace process.
Have you ever seen?
They'll have money for
have you ever seen a mess of African leaders?
So South Sudan is a very great example of that. And
Mr. Salva Kiir hires Ambassador Reinberg to be his consultant in America. Pays him $1.3 million. In fact, the money was paid up front. Mr. Reinberg is the man who arranged for Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto, and the Campo 4+6 to go to The Hague. So, we make a bed which we shall sleep on.
They're about to. But today, Mr. Riek Machar was to visit Juba. I don't know if he has already visited Juba, but he was supposed to meet with President Salva Kiir in Juba to talk about some of these issues that they have not agreed on, that has now brought the whole peace process to a stalemate. So tomorrow we shall be here to give you the latest on that report, Doctor. So do we now just go to the economy of Africa and we talk about it, and then we have...
before you go to the economy of Africa, don't forget the killings of people in Cameroon. Fellow Africans, we have not learned from the past about conflicts. I think let's wrap up on the conflicts.
Yes.
Then we come to the economy.
Okay.
I'm doing this program because there are so many African, Caribbean people here. They better listen. They are listening. I tagged one of the best country in Caribbean that I like most. I like them for that country having very good women. No, very good women. Why don't you allow me to say? I have not described the goodness.
I'm quiet.
Yes. And that country, I found one of the delegates, a very high-ranking official. I said I have a television station and I will talk about Africa today. He was very happy. He said, tag me. I've seen him come on here. Now, thank you very much. You see, we are still tied in the way we used to harry our friends and sell them. The kingdom of Benin, the kingdom of Oyo, the Ashanti kingdom. All these kingdoms used to crowd Africans. Those who are short, bad, those who misbehave in the village, collect them, sell them to the white people for salt, for spears, for these merchandise. We still have that habit. Today, look at in Cameroon. Paul Biya is 89 years old. He cannot walk the stairs of Eastleigh Palace in France. He collapses on the stairs. But Paul Biya still controls Ambazonia, where over 10,000 people have perished. Dead, that they are dead. Where over 3 to 10 million, to 10,000 children have not gone to school for 4 years. They are in the tropics, they are running, women have been raped by his own army. The same is happening across in the same region in Biafra, southeastern Nigeria, where the army, instead of fighting Boko Haram, has returned to fight Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. As we sit here, there is no African leader who has condemned the actions of Nigerian President Buhari. There is no African leader who has stood to condemn the genocide that is taking place in Cameroon. We are still dining, we are still enjoying, but here we are. We praise and say, Africa, how can we have unity when we are not even united on a smaller thing where Djibouti goes to put its own candidature and the man walks freely in African Union? What has let us down is African Union media.
And while all that, just to add, before we lose that Cameroon point there, the government now has shut down 260 schools that were operating in the country's Francophone region, that is the Ambazonia region. And the schools had been opened to help absorb students fleeing from the uprising in the Cameroon's English-speaking region. The pupils have fled the fighting in Cameroon English-speaking regions, have very painful memories. So these schools were opened to help the children because the formal schools were closed down. So the Anglophones, the Ambazonians have been trying to set up their own schools to make sure the children do not miss out. The government came out and closed down 260 schools. I'm looking at the future of the children from the Ambazonia region and it's just bleak.
Look at, you are saying bleak. Even bleakness means there is something. It is dead.
It's dead.
The future is dead, it's not bleak. You know, when it is bleak, it remains an object. But when it is dead, the pain is not felt. These children of Ambazonia, they are dead. They are dead. They are dead like the children in South Sudan. And the Riaka keeps on eating mutton in Khartoum. He said, postponed, I will come, postponed, I will come, postponed, I will come, postponed, I will come.
I hope he showed up today. He was supposed to show up in Juba, so I hope he...
You know what?
In Juba today.
Why do you waste your... to show up in Juba and do what?
Yeah.
He will show up in Juba...
And argue about
escorted by General Hamed Duglu, my friend General Hamed Duglu. When I knew him when he was a lieutenant colonel. Okay? That is the time I knew him. And don't ask me how I knew him. So I know he's going to escort him. He's going to escort him up to South Juba. up to South Sudan, Juba, and then take him back home? Why doesn't he give him a battalion to stay in Juba permanently? If Riek comes to stay in Juba permanently, and Mr. Salva Kiir also is told, don't go here, don't put them together. Put each one on that place and have a demilitarized zone. Let them be in Juba. Things will work quickly. But this proxy war, peace process, where somebody is eating mutton in Khartoum, and another one is eating some things, I don't know, in Juba, and they talk by telephone, oh, you fly in tomorrow. Fly where? Come and do. Riek made Uganda great. Riek discussed the peace in Uganda. I am indebted to him. I love the way he worked so hard to bring Kony to the table. And we all went and saw this mad guy who had slaughtered millions of people. But we faced it. We didn't know whether we are going to come back. But we came back. Hallelujah. We are here. We did it for free. And I know where I'm heading now. We did it for free. But President Museveni did not pay my money. He did not. My allowances were not paid. So those who insult me every day, a man told the EU not to pay the money. My allowances were not paid. Two of us, entire process, I've never received money, but never have I gone back to say I want to use violence or get involved in Uganda politics. My money was not paid. 332,000 United States dollars of allowances. Riek is alive, ask him. Salva Kiir is alive. They paid all the debts for their hotels. President stood up and said, I will pay Matanga's fees because he's a Ugandan. I've never been paid. Instead, I am being antagonized, witch-hunted, demonized. That is very good, but still, I don't give up. I don't give up. I will never give up and turn to any other means. I'll always speak like this. Rugunda knows he was told to pay me money. He never paid me, Mr. President. Let your people, if they cut this bit of the tape, because I told them to listen, let them know, cut this. Let them know. So many people have come here. They have lied to me. Some of them eat my food. They say they are bringing my money. They don't bring it. I have never been paid that money since 2008. What did I do wrong? I did negotiate the peace. I did finish the peace process. It is holding today. And then I am being talked about by Nicopumps who have eaten my money. Rugunda never gave me the money. Amelia never gave me the money. They are here. They ate the money. They divided it amongst them. The type of corruption I told you, the type of corruption, you can blame the president for nothing. He has directed for you to be paid the money. They don't pay you. Oriam Okel Oriam is here. They are all my ministers. Ask them. They never paid me my money. I have no problem. Why do you want me? You write to me. You write to me that, oh, why are you siding with President Museveni? I'm siding with him because there is security in Uganda. He's brought peace. That peace is holding. Are people fighting anymore? No. Democratic institutions, they are not working. Yes, like any other African country. But Uganda might have excesses of democratic inhumanity. That's different. But there is some semblance. You see? I was commissioned by EU, and the EU was going to pay me. I'm not an agent. Now, Mr. Maya, you are getting it wrong. I am not an agent. My allowances were to be paid by UN and EU. The president stood up in a meeting in front of presidents and ordered his PA to pay, with Rugunda to pay my allowances. $342,000. They told me it will come, 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 it will come. Mugabe had to rescue me. I'm wearing his badge. Otherwise, I was going to jail. I was going to jail. My house was gone. Miriam, my house was gone. This is a true story. When my wife, when she saw me with a handbag, she had the loudest laughter. And you know, you women, how you laugh at a person you had told several times that you will come back crying. My house, where I live, which I had managed to get myself, was gone because of rates. I had put all hopes of the allowances that were paid by EU. Riek Machar said, okay. I said, no. I first protested. I said, this money will not come. Riek Machar said, we agreed. Chisano is here, is my witness. The Chisano is present. Riek Machar is present. Ask them. I was not paid. The president himself, I did not ask the president to pay me. The EU was going to pay me. The Bazungu were in the meeting. And they said all the allowances for delegates, chief negotiators, delegates of all peace envoys, all of them who are on the day will be paid by the European Union. There was a fund. The only man who lost out is myself. Two of us. And I will always cry for that younger man. Two of us. For him, he has gone back to wash plates and toilets, which I did long time ago. But may God help the peace of Uganda to grow. That's it. That's what maturity is. You can't fight. So that is it. So if we still have lives of people being killed, another man has just sent you a message. Have you seen the message from Nigeria? It is there.
And before we read that, George Noke here also wrote exactly what happened in Ambazonia was what was happening to Biafrans. They used hunger, starvation policy, genocide, economic deprivation, and freezing of banks' accounts, and forfeitures of landed assets in Biafra land. So during the Biafra War, and Lidik LID, you're saying people are pulled out of their homes and shot dead by the military in Munde Ngene this morning. A source saying rights, explaining that they were accused of having links with the Ambazonia boys. So that is, you're saying this is coming from Ambazonia. Thank you so much. That name there, Lidik. Thank you so much, and the rest of our viewers.
Kintu Anton. I believe from Uganda. You can read his message, because for me, you told me not to touch Uganda. I've only broken your rule.
He's saying, but Doctor, who was Museveni in the 1980s? We understand you, Doctor. You are a pro Museveni, but you will be shocked when Museveni is uprooted out, and we have seen it happening in South America, Haiti, and Zanzibar. and also Rajoelina. Zanzibar, Rajoelina is not from Zanzibar. That is Madagascar. I think you wanted to say that. So he's giving examples of the people who never thought they would be removed out of power, but later on they were ousted. Just add to that list Omar al-Bashir and other people. Well, I think that lies on Ugandans. If they want to elect whoever they want to elect, that is on them. I don't think anybody is refusing.
Kintu has now realized I was not appointed by Uganda government. I was appointed by the EU and the AU and the UN with Chisano to go and negotiate the Uganda peace process, because the delegates, the LRA could not come on table. So I was not employed by Uganda government. No, Rugunda was employed by Uganda government, not me. Me, I was a neutral person whom the rebels themselves said, if that guy is not on table, don't come near us. So I risked my life and I went near them. I went 21 times inside. Even at times, people 3 days, Chisano is waiting, thinking we might not come back. But we came back, we brought peace. After the documents were signed, 5 agenda, we finished them. In fact, the good thing about Uganda peace process, Miriam, is the 5 things. And I want to thank President Museveni for implementing them. I give a credit where it is due. Anthony, Kintu Anthony, please, for implementing the Uganda peace process. Even if Konyi did not sign the agreement, Museveni implemented it. Refugees returned, almost 120,000 combatants were returned, given amnesty. Those who did not come, it's real. We were not looking for people in Central Africa. I am not an international policeman to chase Konyi in the Central African Republic. My mandate was to bring peace in northern Uganda, which I did very well, very candidly. It is there. Are you not driving to Gulu and eat your food and come back? Eat. Is that stupid Olalo Otunu not eating? He's eating. The one who spoiled my party. That's Olalo Otunu and the great three others. They are enjoying. Their people have come back. That's it. That is an achievement for me. Then it came to payments of allowances. It was an administrative matter which a head of state came in and said, for a good gesture, I would take the bill of Matanga. I did not ask him to pay my bills. And that is the point I am making here. I have never been paid that money. Let him look for those who took that money. And never should do this. Let me take this a sound warning. Never should this be discussed, that all that man is not here, his ways, he is not coming. To come and do what? To sweep the toilet? When you cannot give the man $342,000 of the work he did, the good job I did. Not even a medal. Not a medal. Not a medal. Half a medal. Like Mugabe left me this badge. I remember him. I remember him for having left me with this badge of Mugabe. It is him who put it on this lap. It's this powerful suit. Not these small suits that they buy wherever they are. He put it here. And whenever I look at it, I look at Mugabe. That's a good gesture. You go and stop a war which has killed 22 years, and you are not even given half a medal, and the medals are distributed everywhere to even cooks. Abafumbe medal, baba wane medal. Didn't I work for my country? So why do you blame me? I can't be blamed anymore. Neither do I want to listen to Mr. Who? You call him Mr. Who? Bob what? That one, it is even sour in my brain. The brain becomes sour. I don't want to listen to Besigye. I don't want to listen to... Don't call me about Uganda politics, please. I don't want to know. And let people know here. Please. I don't want to know because it is not there. This is mistreating people. We're about to throw each other stones and pangas. When it comes, beat what? Tear gas. So you go to get money from George Soros, then you say you are in a political opposition. What? Have you seen what has happened latest from Zimbabwe right now? After Kasukwele receiving money from George Soros, he has now formed a group inside Zimbabwe to fight Emerson Mnangagwa. Good day. Go ahead. Finish. You might have said, we can't, you know, the topic today, why we have talked like this, Miriam, is because there are so many Caribbean Africans who has Africa learned a lesson from the past. The answer is no. No.
You still continue making mistakes.
The worst mistakes. The answer is no. Ma'am, it is no. We haven't. The answer is no. We have not made any progress so far.
That is a very sad part of...
Yes, it's the third,
yes.
the worst part of where we are today. I just want to thank you very much that tomorrow you will continue with your normal programs of Good Morning Africa. Today we have done this so that we go, instead of 8 o'clock, we have done this to talk about Africa. And we want to encourage peace. We want to encourage negotiations, dialogue in Africa. We want to encourage people to talk. We want more and more people to vomit their anger. Like me now, I've vomited my anger about my money. And my president might not have been told that I was not paid because the people who took the money surrounded him. You never know. Maybe through this public broadcast, now he should know. There is another lady who came here who claimed to have been sent, ate my food and ate everything. Then she says, she put it on the phone that she was talking. I kept quiet. When I went to cross-check everything, they always, they have, what annoys me is, had I died, had Kony killed me, where would I be? Where would my children be? Have you heard that?
So we thank our viewers. We thank you so much for your company. We thank you so much. Tomorrow we'll have a lot to talk about Africa. So join us 11 a.m. East African time, and we shall have conversation about Biafra, about the latest from Amazonia, the latest from Cameroon, the latest from South Africa, and across the rest of other African countries across Africa. So thank you so much for now. So we'll see you tomorrow, I guess.
Thank you very much, Miriam. That is diplomatic leaks. Today we have not leaked much from the Western capitals, but we have leaked a lot from Africans ourselves. The economy. Before you go, I think 2 minutes. We are borrowing this money. Are we earning anything from this money?
Earning in what sense?
Fruits. Matunda. When you borrow money, you invest it, it gives you some money. But are we earning? Yes. To some extent for Kenya, these roads, if they are not taken by water, There's one thing I wanted to say.
Let them not build roads that will be taken away by water. We want a Thika Road superhighway.
Yeah, but even the Thika you saw.
It's just flooded.
Yeah, you saw that it is more deadly for you and your house to have been left like here. I am very shocked in this country, and I am very embarrassed. I don't want to mention this. One of the best restaurants that I was going to, the only restaurant in town, in the posh area, where only few angels can step and a few can arrive. The food is expensive, and you can, if you take your baby there, so don't, I'm not meaning the smaller child, baby, the Ugandan style of baby. You know, Ugandans call their wives baby. I'm now talking literally as an African. It was flooded.
That is a foreign name.
It was flooded. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of that?
The restaurant was flooded.
Yes. No, the whole place is flooded.
Mm-hmm. Poor drainage.
So it goes to explain it to us. If you are the owner of this city, the governor of this city, when it is summer, why don't you check the drainage? I think
that's a very good question. Mm-hmm.
If it is like now, Britain is winter. Every place during summer, when summer is about to end, which is August, September there, summer is going. When you see the carnival, it's called Nottingham Carnival, where you find, oh hey, yes, I know you are.
I know the
where I'm heading, Nottingham Carnival. You know it, Mama. That is when the city of London, the city of Croydon, they start cleaning the drainage. They start cleaning the drainage. In Africa, it is look, rain comes, a small thing has made the whole Africa under tenterhooks everywhere. As if people did not know that the rain was coming. As if people did not read the meteorological departments that rain, they told them there will be severe rain. Do you know that we have a problem? Do we learn from the past? Rain comes this year to kill people. You allow it to kill more people next year. Do we learn from the past? Last week I arrived in one African country. You know very well. I went away for a quick meeting. I arrived at night and I told, as I stepped out of the plane, as the people who had come to collect me, they said, "Sir, it has not rained for some time." I said, "Don't worry. This is midnight of that time, of that country." I said, "Don't worry. I have come with plenty of rain from Nairobi. I tell you in the name of God. I tell you, Miriam, it did not." I said, this guy is in the car, said, Are you some African medicine man or something? Halfway towards the city hotel where I was going to stay, the whole thing started pouring like it was water that has just burst out of the dam. Even this guy could not see the road. To a certain extent, in fact, we told him, "Stop first. Because if we go at this rate, the cars coming from that side are going to enter into us. We shall have an accident." It poured. for almost 45 minutes. Heavy. And then it stopped. So this guy is in the car said, "Aye, did we carry somebody who carries rain?" So, but when it poured, you did not see any. And this is a country in Africa. Their drainage was fantastic. The rain was heavy. You could see the car even going like this on the road. But in the morning, I did not see any road that was flooded. So part of the problems that we have is planning, is being proactive. Are we proactive as Africans? No, we are not. We are reactive. We react to scenarios. So let's have that done. And let me conclude by thanking all of you, welcoming all the guests. Some of them I've met, to enjoy the program. If you don't, we apologize for the satellite hiccup that was there at the beginning. We put it back very nicely. May God help you and give Miriam a good wave out.
All right, let's see you tomorrow.
I know she wants to go. Yes.
I still haven't time to catch up with my classes.
But tomorrow morning,
yes,
we shall. I'll join you.
Good. Good. We've missed you here. Good morning.
Yes, I'll join you to analyze. You don't know why I'm dodging a bit, because the man in the dock is my friend, because you will fix me with questions. This man, younger man, Sonko, is a friend, and I always give him advice, but he doesn't listen. So I don't want to come here and you ask me questions. What happened? So that's why I'm waiting for some. But tomorrow, I'll be back. I wish him a quick recovery. I'm told he couldn't sleep in the cells, but he could sleep in the bed, which is not bad. In the hospital bed, he's still alive, because there are so many people he has injured also people can kill him. It's normal.
So he's a target even.
Yeah, even in the committee.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right.
And thank you very much, all Africans. We are sorry, but we talk like that. Thank you very much, Mr. Kintu Maya, Anthony, from Kampala or wherever you are. Thank you very much. And all of you who have listened to us, we defend Africa. We have made mistakes, but we shall correct them as an Africa. Kintu Anthony, thank you very much, my brother. That is the life that some of us have gone through. It's good that at last you realize you came on my side and agreed. They use you, you finish, even when I was not even part of them.
Yeah,
Miriam,
say that.
I was not part of them. I was going to be paid by EU. But the man, because he didn't want me to have money like his brothers and sisters and his relatives, and then they just get the money. So I was left there. I'm here. And then I am being demonized everywhere. Yet it's my money. It was not given. Why can't he come out publicly and give it to me? And then I will announce here that I was given. I was not paid. And I'm not going to keep quiet. Will I speak when I'm in the grave? You can't speak when you are dead. Buddha is saying he is behind. Yes, that's is normal. Bismarck, Buddha, your friend. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Viewers, Aluta Container, the struggle continues for Africa.
Yes,
this station, therefore, is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. Ciao.
must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.